divisions, 4 hosts, all battling it out for the Holy Grail of the American Hockey League, the Calder Cup. This is the Holy GrAHL podcast with Andrew Rinaldi, Deana Weinheimer, Jeremy Paul, Michael Liu, and Zach Powell.
Well, hello, and welcome to, can you believe it, episode number 9 of Field Pass Hockey's AHL podcast, The Holy GrAHL. Wow, this season's flying by so far. But here at the Holy GrAHL, we're all about the American Hockey League and the yearly race to their Holy GrAHL, the Calder Cup. For those of you watching us on YouTube, you may notice there's only 3 of us today. Unfortunately, Zach Power had a work commitment pop up, so he was unable to join us. And hopefully next week, Michael Liu will be making his debut on the podcast. He had some outside commitments that with school that was keeping him out, but hopefully next week we will be able to introduce you to our colleague that covers Abbotsford and get him in on the show. But before we get too far into this, we're going to go around the screen here and introduce ourselves. So who would like to go first? I normally tell you who's going first. I'll let you guys volunteer this time.
Well, then that means we can't let Andrew go first, because then we'd just be sticking to the status quo. We'd go you next and then me, because we're just creatures of habit that way, right? So I'll jump in there. What's up, y'all? My name is Jeremy Paul. I cover beat for the Rochester Americans with Field Pass Hockey. I'm in my first season, and nothing excites me more on a Tuesday night than getting together with y'all, talking about some AHL hockey. Hate that we're shorthanded again, but we've shown in the past that we're pretty good a man down. So looking forward to this one with y'all.
I'm Andrew Rinaldi. I cover the Chicago Wolves and Grand Rapids Griffins here for Field Pass Hockey. And yeah, I can't believe we're already in episode 9. I mean, it's December. We're rolling. This is the middle ground, the battleground of the season. I am stoked. We got a great episode coming up. I'm fired up.
And I am Deana Weinheimer, the AHL editor and one of 2 Cleveland Monsters correspondents here. And I'm still very happy despite how horrible of a week the Monsters had, and just excited to get into the show. This is always my favorite 60 to 90 minutes of the week, other than the hour I spend recording the other podcast that I host, Monsters Musings. But, you know, I enjoy this one. But first, before we get into our weekend review, we do have a little bit of breaking news. And first, I do want to say, on behalf of the entire Field Pass Hockey crew, we do want to extend our best thoughts and wishes to the head coach of the Henderson Silver Knights, Manny Viveiros. He is currently on a planned medical leave to undergo the next phase of his cancer treatment, and the team is saying he's expected to be out about 3 to 4 weeks to give him time to recover and recuperate from that. In the meantime, assistant coach Jamie Heward is going to be assuming head coaching duties on an interim basis. So, Manny, all of our best. Hope it goes well. And we're all just thinking of you during this time. So we'll go ahead and get into our week in review. It was a pretty busy week, granted, as usual, in the American Hockey League. And with every new week comes a new player of the week. And for the second week in a row, this player is out in the Western Conference. This time, Stockton Heat. Defenseman Conor Mackey is the AHL player of the week. In 2 games last week, he tallied 3 goals. Now, guys, again, defenseman, 2 of them were shorthanded. The other one was on the power play. And he also got 2 assists. I mean, gosh, talk about a special team specialist. And yes, those are his first goals of the season.
Talk about a guy who can just do anything in any situation. I mean, it's really impressive, not just for a defenseman, for any kind of player. I mean, it just kind of goes to show you what they're doing over there in Stockton. Really special is that a guy like Mackey can come out and produce like that and contribute. It just seems like every week it's a new player for them. This was just his time to shine. I mean, what a week for this guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that Stockton needs any more players to come out and have like a coming out party, but I mean, because they're they're firing on all cylinders right now, obviously sitting on top of the Pacific, and so yeah, I mean, they'll take production when they can get it, but they're not hurting for it right now. So good on him, and honestly, just good on the Heat. Like I mean, like they look really good.
Yeah, I definitely need to sit down and watch some more games of theirs just to see like what they're doing that's so special, that's so good. You know, I've been able to sit down and watch a few games out of Utica, and it's like, okay, I need to spend a little bit more time watching some games out in the Pacific Division. Being in Ohio, it's kind of difficult sometimes because of the time difference, but I think I need to make a nice alteration to my schedule to catch a game from Mr. Mackey and his Stockton Heat.
Just get the coffee brewing, make a night of it. It's worth it. In Pacific, there's some fun hockey out there.
I guess I'll have to. I have plenty of coffee beans here for my cold brew. I just need to break it out and let's go. Well, I mean, of course, that's assuming that they don't fall to the unfortunate. I don't want to call it a trend, but it kind of is with cancellations right now in the American hockey.
Yeah.
Well, not exactly cancellations, but postponements.
Yeah, we hope they're not cancellations, right? I mean, like, or we hope that they don't lead to cancellations of other things. But yeah, I mean, just it's been a week in the league, right? Like a bunch of teams, like since we've last talked, right? I mean, like I think we talked last week a little bit about it, and just like our like concern of like what's to come, and from there on, right? Like more dominoes fall. You know, Rochester is one of the teams that is bitten by the bug, and head coach Seth Appert was put into COVID protocol, and then not long after that, the Americans, had to postpone multiple games. At first only 2, but then also another, and so. And it's not just Rochester, right? And it's not just one coach. It's all around the league right now. And so obviously, right, like our thoughts are with everybody who's going through that and like having to isolate. Thankfully, we're at a place now where hopefully medically these folks are going to be fine, but not easy to spend 10 days by yourself isolated and not being able to do the thing that you love. So, sending our thoughts to those folks as they get through that. But I mean, yeah, it's not just Rochester. It's going around.
Last week when Providence got hit with a bunch of cases and had a lot of players in protocols, and then you saw up in the big club, Bruce Cassidy entering the protocol along with the head coach of Boston. You get kind of worried that a couple guys get called up or sent down, and this really starts catching fire. And since last week, I don't want to say it sounds like it's calmed down, but I don't think there have been too many more teams that have been hit so severely as we saw last week with Hartford and Bakersfield and Hershey getting all these postponed games. And certainly, not really out of the woods yet, but hopefully that's a sign where we can kind of hold on with bated breath and just kind of see how the situation develops. And we got to give a shout out to everyone that does their best and works to manage not just the positive cases, but just making the fact that we have all the access to all hockey and everything this year. I mean, compared to where we were last year, you got to just take a look and be grateful for what we're at, and then just kind of roll with the punches as they come and just go through the process. Yes, it hurts seeing it postponed, and we hope that everyone's healthy. And you just gotta. This whole last almost 2 years now has just been an exercise in keeping positive. So we just gotta keep the good vibes rolling, people.
Some nice wise words and some good vibes at least seem to be going back to the Hershey Bears. I know they were out for, it seemed like a while, but I did see that they have resumed on ice activities. So hopefully they'll be back soon and can get back into the the season, which I'm sure will make our colleague Corey Schwartz, who was a guest a couple podcasts ago, very happy. I know he's been missing his Hershey Bears hockey. So moving on, also in happy news. So if you're a fan of the Cleveland Monsters, this news is especially for you. On Tuesday, the Monsters and their NHL affiliate, the Columbus Blue Jackets, have announced that they have reached a multi-year affiliation agreement. Now, as with these types of things, there's been no real word on the term other than multi-year, so we know it's at least 2 years. But they have been affiliates since the 2015-2016 season, and in that time, Cleveland is 184, 162, 31, and 18. So a nice mutually beneficial agreement continues on, and Columbus will keep their prospects just a couple hours north on I-71.
The Cleveland Cannons go on with the trend,
So,
like you said, Deana.
Since this move happened, I love it. Yes. I'd like to see it personally, but I mean, I prefer that over the Cleveland Monsters. I mean, if they want Monsters, they got to go back to Lake Erie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it would be. I think I would like something. I always like the battalion out in. I think it's North Bay now. I remember it from Brampton, but I think something like the Cleveland Regiment to kind of keep it along with that Civil War theme. I mean, Cannons is as well, but I feel like the Cannon is so Columbus that Cleveland kind of needs its own identity. That I think Regiment would be that would work out real nice.
I like it. All of
I
those
think
nice
they need to-
cross-branding opportunities.
I think they just need to make sure that it's not also the name of a local roller derby team before they do it. No shade to any potential other major sporting team out there in Cleveland. Not at all.
I think the Cleveland Cannons is already like a major league ping pong team out there.
Right.
So we're gonna have to go in a different direction.
Professional dart throwing.
I love Google.
But yeah, I mean, I love these types of in-state affiliations or very close affiliations. I just think it's so beneficial and way better than having your team, your prospects in a different country or halfway across the country, like some have. So I'm very happy about that agreement. But moving on, we're going to talk goalies now. Now, we kind of talked a little bit last week about one big name goalie that would now be playing in the AHL in Matt Murray. But here's a couple names that the AHL has not heard in quite a while. So do you guys remember Devan, Dubnyk, and Ben Bishop?
I
Do in fact.
Yes. So Dubnyk signed a professional tryout contract with the Charlotte Checkers this week. Meanwhile, Ben Bishop is coming back from, it seems like, a years-long injury, and he is on a rehab assignment with the Texas Stars.
I don't know why I just assumed that Devan Dubnyk was like somewhere floating in the NHL void. Like I thought like for some reason he was like under contract somewhere, but just like not being heard of, which is probably like not unjustified. But like I was just like, when I saw this news, I was like, I didn't even know he wasn't under contract.
I didn't even know he was still in the league until he got traded to Colorado last season, and I was like,
Right.
wait, that Devan Dubnyk, he's and I mean, he's still here, he's still giving it a go. Watch out, Philip Grubauer in Seattle, because Devan Dubnyk's coming for your job. Now, I don't know if he's going to get that far, but to see him, he's still. I think you still have some quality goaltending in this guy, and at worst, all that years of experience is just going to be parted on some of these young netminders out there in Charlotte. This is just not a bad move in any stretch on the Checkers' part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Speaking of
just
affiliations
assumed-
that are really close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back to your point there, Andrew, like I just assumed he was like a Brian Elliott. He's currently the backup in Tampa Bay. I just assumed he was backing up somewhere, and of a team that I don't normally watch or is out in, the Western Conference somewhere. So whenever I saw that news come across, I was just one of those, wait, refresh. What? That? No, that Devan Dubnyk? Really? Wow. All right. Well, Andrew, we're just going to keep the focus on you here. For the second week in a row, you have submitted the oof of the week. So I'm just going to let you take it away.
I mean, this is kind of starting to become my section now. So if you guys remember last week, I definitely highlighted that Iowa-Chicago series. I mean, you're talking about a couple heavyweights fighting for the top of the Central. Last year was such a fiery series for them every time they played, and you just were expecting some real tight hockey. And to be fair, was real tight checking, but Iowa, I can't give you a pass here. You scored 1 goal in 3 games. That's an oof. We pumped your tires up so much. I'm like, oh, this is a different Iowa squad. This is going to be it. And then what happens? You get 4 guys kicked out on Sunday. That's such an Iowa Wild move. I can't even begin. There's 60 minutes in a game. They had 57 minutes of penalties. Like, okay. They didn't even look like they were interested in playing hockey on Sunday. Oof, Iowa, you got to do better than that.
57 minutes. I heard that right?
57 minutes, yes. And again, that's kind of like on script with these two teams normally, because they'll combine. Normally, they combine for over 50 minutes on average. So, but it's normally it's like, kind of split down the middle, maybe 30-20. Chicago only had 4, and Iowa was just stacking penalty minutes. And I guess when Cody McLeod's your captain, that's just kind of your team identity at that point. But I mean, second period, Dakota Mermis sucker punches, I forget who it was, Spencer Smallman, match penalty, kicked out of the game. And then in the third period, Mason Shaw cross-checks Jamison Reese in the face. Game misconduct. Cody McLeod won't stop barking at the ref. Game misconduct. Joe Hickett also sucker punches Jamison Reese in the face. Or I'm sorry, that was David Cotton. He gets kicked out. I mean, it was just I don't use the term gong show very much, but that was the epitome of it. And Iowa, I expected better. I thought this was a different Iowa team. What was that, man? Oof.
Now, didn't these two teams have quite the final game last season against each other? If I'm remembering right.
I remember. I don't remember if it was the last game of the season or not, but I remember at the end of a blowout towards the end of the season in which Phil Tomasino, who was kind of just barking at Iowa the whole game, at like the 30 seconds left, gets into it with, I want to say it was Turner Ottenbright, but a Wild defenseman behind the net. So here's 19-year-old Phil Tomasino just mixing it up. In comes 36-year-old Cody McLeod with, 1,000 penalty minutes in the NHL. And he just grabs this 19-year-old, just starts feeding him uppercuts. And everyone's just like, what are you doing, dude? I mean, talk about not just out of your own weight class. This he could have been your son. And Coach Warsofsky of the Wolves did not like that move at all. And he had a very, very spirited discussion with Iowa coach Tim Army, in which I wish I could get a court stenographer for that one, because I would just love to hear it. And unfortunately, Coach didn't really bite on what he was explaining in the press conference afterwards. But yeah, these two teams have never really liked each other. And, for Iowa, I mean, I can understand the frustration. not scoring a lot of goals. Their only goal all week was a 5-on-3 power play goal. So you can't even really hang your hat on like, oh, well, at least they just got dummied. And on top of it all, Chicago had 2 premier defensemen that got called up to Carolina because of their own COVID protocol. So Max Lajoie and Jalen Chatfield weren't in there. Daniel Brickley had to get slotted in the lineup, normally down in the ECHL. And they still shut down the Wild, who were, building this new identity. Oh, we got Marco Rossi and Matt Boldy, and unfortunately, both of those players ended up getting injured over the course of the week. But this wasn't supposed to be the goon squad again. This is supposed to be, this team that had a little bit of a scoring touch to it. And I mean, it's just right back to the same old script.
I think it says a lot.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Deana.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Want to get ourselves into some trouble, Andrew?
Yeah, this is the wild card hour now.
Here we go.
Oh, she's fighting. I see.
She's a fighter. She's gonna get back.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, like I said, this is the wild. Oh boy.
Oh no.
This is the wild card hour now. Let's see.
Gosh, this is a spinoff. This is a spinoff show.
Yeah, right. You want to talk about shorthanded? Here we go. A little bit of 2-on. This is now the 2-on-1 show.
I feel like we need to take a second to talk about how nasty the Sonny Milano goal just was against UPL.
I didn't see it, but I got Sonny Milano on my fantasy team, so I'll take it.
Trevor Zegras went to go like Michigan behind the net, but instead of like taking it and trying to score a lacrosse goal, he just flipped it over the net and over UPL.
No.
And Milano like swung and hit it out of the air.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
Oh my god, dude. Oh, that's some stuff my cousin would always do in beer leagues, and would just flip it up like that. Like I've seen Datsuk do that before, but I can't they never really scored on it. I just got on Twitter and it just says that was the sickest NHL goal I've ever seen. Good Lord, Trevor Zegras.
Absolutely repulsive. And I think now would probably be as good a time as any to talk about the fact that UPL is in the big show. Because he just got destroyed as we're recording this episode.
Oh my god, dude, that poor guy's confidence.
There's nothing you can do about that, right?
No, the worst part is like, what do you do?
Absolutely nothing.
Hey.
But welcome
Hi.
Hey.
We're just in the process of talking about the filthy Sonny Milano goal that just happened.
Oh my goodness.
I watched
That's
Pavel
funny.
Datsuk's career for like 12 years, and that was the sickest goal I've ever seen.
He first of all, I want to apologize for all of a sudden like me being silent and then me jumping in. I had a slight technical issue, but I'm back now. But no, Sonny Milano, he has the potential to be so good. He's so talented and he's so crafty. I love it when he can put everything together and just chef's kiss.
Yeah, having Trevor Zegras as a line mate certainly isn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't skate to save my life, but you put Trevor Zegras next to me and I might find a way to score a goal.
I can get some points.
Amen. Amen.
But he scored that goal on none other than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yep.
It ties it all together.
It does, because they do grow up so fast.
In a neat little bow. They really do.
It's a terrible little bow, but UP has found his way to the big show. Obviously not his first, not his debut, right? Like he played a little bit last season too, but yeah, he's in the show because the Sabres goaltending is just like crap show after crap show. I mean, they trade for Malcolm Subban for future considerations, our favorite, and he gets hurt, and Craig Anderson's hurt. Dustin Tokarski's in COVID protocol. I mean, things aren't great. in Buffalo right now. Like,
and it's
and so UPL's got his chance. Whether or not he sticks is going to be one thing, but I think if you're the Amerks, like I think you want him to not, because I really don't know how. Like you're looking at right now, Michael Hauser and Matt Robson are your two guys from Cincinnati who are gonna be holding down the fort in Rochester for the time being.
I don't know. It's a tough situation, you know. It's really like, and first of all, like Malcolm Subban, I get you kind of got him for free, but he wasn't doing good in Rockford, and then they're kind of just throwing him to the wolves there. But yeah, I guess you don't want to burn UPL out and break him mentally by putting him in behind the Sabres. So I get it, but at the same time, I was looking at it, I was like really, that's the best they're doing. Okay, I mean, again, they got him for free, so you know it's better than nothing.
All right, and I have another goalie that grew up pretty fast too. And I just need to talk about Danielle Tarasoff for a moment here. So picture this, if you will. You are cozily resting in your room in Cleveland. You get a phone call that basically says, hello, insert your first name here. So both of our NHL goaltenders are sick with non-COVID illnesses. We're in Dallas. We need you to hop on a plane, get down here. You're playing tonight. You're making your NHL debut tonight. So you hurry up, get ready, fly on a plane to play the Dallas Stars. And then 2 days later, you're in Washington, D.C. facing Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. That was the life of Danielle Tarasoff from last Thursday to last Saturday. I mean, honestly, not too bad in front of the, we all, if you follow the NHL at all, you know all the storylines possibly behind the Blue Jackets and what they're expected to do this season. But honestly, not too bad. .926 saves percentage, got 63 saves, only 5 goals allowed. I mean, I think he did really well, but here is an interesting stat for you. Now, I have to give many thanks to my husband, Gary, for finding this and pointing this out to me. But Danielle Tarasoff may have possibly become part of a first that involves Alexander Ovechkin. He may have become the first father-son duo that had Alex Ovechkin score on him. Now, Danielle's father, Vadim Tarasoff, and Ovechkin played against each other for 3 seasons in the Russian Super League from 2002 to 2005. Now, this goes a little bit deeper. Now, Ovechkin scored on them 17 years to the day. December 4th, 2004 against Vadim Tarasoff, and December 4th, 2021 against Danielle. Now, at the time of the first goal, Ovechkin was only 19.
That just kind of shows how special Ovi is to be such a dominant goal scorer for so long. I mean, he's been in the league forever. I don't remember. I do, but I barely remember an NHL where there was no Alex Ovechkin just piling goals up. And yeah, it was back home in Russia, but even back there as a teenager, he was still doing all of this. It's incredible. And the fact that, he scores on the dad and then all these years later, he does it again. It's just, that's incredible. So, I don't want to take anything away from the incredible week that Danielle had, but just, wow. That really puts it in the perspective of how long he's been doing this and how good he's been for so long.
No doubt. No doubt. And Tarasov even said, there's a lot of Russians between the Jackets and the Capitals. So there were a lot of Russian bad words happening on the ice that night. So
I'm trying to think who all was there. Like you got Chinnikov, Tarasov, You have, oh my gosh.
Gavrikov, Kuznetsov,
I can't
Ovechkin.
believe it was Gavrikov that I was missing. I was like, I can picture him. It's Dadislav, but what's his last name? Gavrikov. That's it. Yeah, I would have loved to have been just kind of manning any microphones down there just to hear all that.
Correct. Don't need Rosetta Stone. You can just listen to the language on the ice.
Reminds me of the Red Wings of the 90s when they had the Russian 5 and they could just be out there speaking in Russian, and then the league was 90% North American at the time. They can't imagine the look of confusion on their faces as you got
right.
Fedorov and Larionov and all of them coming down on you.
Oh, to go back in time. Well, I have one more player that grew up, and this one actually came courtesy of Zach Power. I'm kind of stealing this little tidbit away, but it needs covered. Alex Steeves from the Toronto Marlies was actually called up, and he's been playing very well just all around for that Marlies squad. I mean, we've seen him near the top of the scoring leaders board quite a few times, and right now he's at exactly a point per game pace with 7 goals and 5 assists in 12 games.
No pressure on going up into the big club in Toronto or anything, but he's earned it. So let's see what he does.
No pressure at all. No pressure. It's only Toronto. And then we have one more on our list. Not exactly a kid.
No, but he's still kind of a grown up, growing up again. And we have Luke Witkowski being called up to the Red Wings here. And it's a bit of an odd situation considering, well, he's currently serving a suspension in the AHL. So I'm guessing the Griffins are like, yeah, we'll let him get some playing time with the big club. In 17 games this year, he's recorded 1 assist and 43 penalty minutes. So if that doesn't really give you an idea of his role with the Griffins, well, there you go. And he's going up there with another Griffin, Kyle Criscuolo, who's making his second stint with the Red Wings after making his season debut last Wednesday against the Kraken. And Crisco, I guess they must just not want him to stop playing before this weekend, because in the last 7 games, he's got 7 goals and 7 assists. So I don't know. I think if I was Grand Rapids, I'd want to send him to Vegas with those kind of numbers and see if he can come up with some more 7s. But congratulations to both of those players.
Well, Luke Witkowski is getting the Gavin Bayreuther treatment, because the exact same thing happened. To Gavin with the Monsters and the Blue Jackets, where Bayreuther gets suspended, 2 games, and that same day he gets called up to Columbus and has been up there ever since.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was Bayreuther or Harrington that did that, because I know the Jackets just put Harrington on waivers. I was like, it's gonna come to roost. He's got it, but nope, I'm wrong. But yeah, that's too funny to have that happen twice in a season. I mean, I'm sure it's actually more common than like we're giving it credit for, but it just feels weird.
It's the first I've ever really paid that kind of attention to it, because in terms of the American Hockey League, like up until this season, I was a little bit last season, of course, just because I'm the editor and I read more stories about it. But this season, I'm really focused in on what's happening around the league, because we have obviously this podcast. We need to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's the first time I've ever really noticed that trend. Well, speaking of trending, let's go to our social media inspired segment, swiping left or swiping right. This is our my camera's a little backwards.
Mine is too. I always do it the wrong way. I try to do it with you when you say left. I'm like, left, and I go right on the screen. I'm like,
it's like this is technically my right hand, but it's showing left. I don't know. Flip it around, fine. Right? Left. I don't know. Anyway, so this is our hot take segment. So swipe left means we don't like that hot take. Swiping right means we like your hot take. Super swipe up, which we get once a month, means we co-sign. We really, really like what you have to say. So Who would like to go first? Andrew, how about you this time?
I mean, yeah, that's
I
what I
ask
do.
and then I tell.
As the A, that's what I do. So, well, we've been talking a lot about goalies here, so let's keep the trend going. And we've talked a lot the last couple weeks about Utica's goalies, and they've been, well documented as just being absolutely unreal this year. Here comes a hot take, though. You know who's got a better goaltending tandem? The Chicago Wolves. And no, this is not beat homerism going on here. Look at the stats. The stats speak for themselves. Alex Lyon and A2 Makiniemi have been right there with the Utica tandem and goals against and save percentage. Lyon just had a couple shutouts this week against Iowa we talked about earlier. These guys are no slouch. I believe that, you give me 2 against 2. I think Chicago is better. I'm sorry.
I think you just wanted to say A2 Makiniemi.
I did.
Now
That doesn't make it any less true.
Fair.
Can I super swipe Jeremy's comment?
Absolutely, you can. I'm glad you said it, though, because I definitely have him listed in one of my game previews for later, and I just needed to hear it said before I butchered it later, so thank you. And for that, I'll actually just give you a swipe right just for, taking care of that for me. But, to your point and to your credit, as I was looking at games happening this week, looking at the tandem that they have there in Chicago, and it is solid, right? And I think that might be a question that needs to be answered more so toward the end of the season. Are Utica's rookies just hot, and are they going to eventually find a way or just kind of taper off and kind of just regress into more of the standard deviation, or are they going to keep being great? And I think if you had to give me 2 teams to pick between, at the end of the year, who's going to be better, I think the Chicago tandem is going to be better.
See, you told me to go look at the stats. So I went and looked at the stats.
Mm-hmm.
Save percentage. Both Utica guys are in the top 4. Goals against average. Both Utica goalies are in the top 5. It is so close that I do.
That's why it's hot one. That's why it's a hot one.
Yeah. But I think Utica is doing a better job at sharing the net. They both have 9 games played each. I hate to do it, but I'm going to swipe left because you told me to look at the stats, and the stats do not say that across all categories that Chicago is definitely the best team. I'm getting it on a technicality.
All right, fair enough. I'll eat that.
It's close. It's really close right now. This is me trying to look into my crystal ball that told me that Cleveland was going to have a good weekend last weekend, and picking where these tandems are going to end up. So maybe I'm far off base here.
Apparently, you and I have the exact same crystal ball manufacturer, and we need to look into a class action lawsuit or something.
I'm here to get my coin. I'm here to get my bag. So you just let me know what our lawyer's number is, and I'll call it.
Okay.
Not all of the Palantirs are accounted for. You don't know who's looking on the other side. It's a Lord of the Rings reference there for you. So you're clearly just being manipulated by the evil energies of Sauron. So I'll let that one pass.
I appreciate it.
Okay, but who is the League Sauron though?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's Milwaukee.
The evil energies. I'll stick with the theme. I'll say Iowa.
I will say though,
I'm just dogging on the Wild here. They deserved it after that week.
But would Iowa want to hurt Cleveland though? What?
Iowa doesn't discriminate against anyone. They'll hurt everybody. I'm fairly certain. Let me take a look at this one real quick.
This is the last.
So they're second in penalty minutes, 4 behind Laval for the league lead. So Iowa is just the giant orc army that's coming to just raid the entire league. They just ran into the fellowship this week. That's all.
This is the comparison that I didn't know that I needed in my life, but it
Here
came
it
at the
is.
exact time that I needed it to.
I will say though, what is interesting, and like maybe I'm like arguing with myself on this, is like the North is like objectively a much better division than the Central, like in terms of like goal scorers and productive offenses. So maybe there is a case to be made that the Utica tandem is better, but I don't know.
It's early. That's why it's a hot take.
All right. Well, talk about, like the fellowship and traveling. Well, we have a traveler amongst my hot take, and that is Mr. Cole Sherwood, who is on his technically this calendar year is now skating on his third team. And it seems like ever since he left Cleveland, he can only score against teams for which he formerly played, or maybe it's more fair to say he can only score when he's in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse up in Cleveland. So he has 2 goals this season. All right. Both of them are against Cleveland. Both of them came in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Both of them came as a member of a different team. First, Belleville. Second, Milwaukee. So my hot take is that if it's getting down to the wire and Cleveland is above you in the standings and you need to get a goal against them, trade for Cole Sherwood. He will get that goal for you, guaranteed.
Oh, that's good.
Is the condition of the trade future considerations?
Yes.
Then I'm swiping right on this. And the case was made even more on Monday night when Wyatt Newpower, another former Monster, came into the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and had probably his best game of the season. Something about former Monsters coming in just wanting to prove that, hey, they we got someone else on the coaching staff, maybe they got just a point to prove. And they came out. I can't stress enough how good of a game Newpower had on Monday. It was amazing. So just something about that energy about the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse just makes players love playing in it, and it makes former Monsters coming back and they just feel like they're at home. So yeah, I'm all about it.
It certainly didn't hurt that Calvin Pickard is also a former Monster, still holds quite a few franchise records for goaltending.
He got quite the cheer when he was announced as the second star of the game on Monday as well. So Cleveland fans they have not forgotten about that, and I thought that was pretty awesome.
Cleveland fans do like their former players. They're always very welcoming when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah, just wait until OBJ comes back to Cleveland. We'll see how that goes, right? Different sport, different thing, but
okay, erased. Cleveland Monsters fans are always very welcoming when their former players come back. They always okay.
Yeah, I don't know if the Browns fans are gonna be great to him, but y'all swipe right. What the heck? It's fun. The proof is in the pudding. Like, it's there, and like also like he can kind of be a jerk too. So like, if you really want somebody to rough Cleveland up too, like maybe that's the way to go. Oh goodness! Well, I know. Look at you, 2 for 2. You got 2 matches.
Yay.
So the league is a little weird in that, as we all know and love, only 2 teams from each division don't make the playoffs. So you've got a lot of friends coming to the dance, right? And as of right now, if the season ended today, everybody who is in the playoffs has at least a 500 record. They have at least a 500 points percentage. And so everybody's there. The only team that's out of the playoffs right now that also has a 500 points percentage is Abbotsford. They're second to last in their division because of tiebreakers, right? And so my hot take is that we're going to have a few teams, at least one, but I'm going to even say a few, that sneak into the playoffs this year with a below 500 points percentage. To be honest with you, like looking at it, I was surprised that that's not already kind of worked itself out, like in that we have some teams under 500 in the playoffs, but we don't. But I don't think that's going to stick around, and we might even see a team below 500 make it to the second round of the playoffs.
It's like an onion, and you keep just unpeeling more and more and more of this take.
Onions and ogres, they both have layers.
Okay, so is the official take that there's just going to be at least one team that's below 500, or are you saying that team is going to make it to the second round as your take?
I don't know. What are you going to swipe right on?
It depends on what the profile says.
Well, it sounds like the second one you're a little bit hesitant on, so let's go ahead and just say we'll make the playoffs.
Well, with the expanded playoff format, it's basically pretty much guaranteed. So I'm about to use my super swipe for the month. I'm going early this time. So, yep, with this expanded playoff format, it's, like I said, it's practically guaranteed that we're going to get at least one.
I got a bit of a theme with my super swipes. If you would have gone for boldness and said they would have made the second round, I would have entertained the idea of super swiping this one.
Hold on, let me update my profile. Hold on.
No, it's too late. I've
update my profile for you.
The profile already loaded. You can't update
you can't.
While you're looking at it.
What's Zach's trick to like close out of the app and then come back to it and just try to find me later? Do that.
I appreciate it, but there's a lot of profiles out there. This is you get your 3 seconds to make an impression, and that was it. So I'll swipe right on it because yes, expanded playoffs, you're bound to get one of those teams. And if you would have gotten, like I said, just some of that 2021 Montreal Canadiens energy coming in and said they would have made the second round or beyond, I'd have been like, oh yeah, absolutely. Let's send this. But just for making the playoffs, yeah, I'll give that a right swipe.
Well, I feel a bit like the orc or the ogre here, in that I'm the only one that swiped left on anything. Yeah? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Standards. You have standards, and Andrew and I just clearly don't, and that's okay.
Right. I'm the type that just right swipes on all the takes, and then I'll decide on whether I'm actually interested once I get matched up. But yeah, that's another thing. Again, you gotta know how to play the field, and you don't know the real swiping game. Oh, you want to talk about gong shows? We can talk about that one.
Maybe a special segment for another show. We'll have to get another podcast that just unpacks all of the backstories into a lot of these things and why we reference things the way that we do. I feel there's a lot of baggage to unpack here.
Oh, there's a lot. There's
so much. The Holy GrAHL and the Holy Carry-On. That'll be the next podcast. That'll be the spinoff that me and Andrew host.
The Holy Carry-On. I'll just sit there and moderate as the baggage agent. I'm just checking your bags.
It'll just be us sitting at a bar outside of Van Andel talking about it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect. I love it. All right. Well, speaking of unpacking, let's unpack these scoring races. But okay. Anyway, the top skaters in terms of points. Well, for the second week in a row, surprise, surprise, Jack Quinn is at the top of the scoring list. And honestly, that's with no points being added. Now, Andrew Podorowski has tied him in terms of the number of points, but Jack Quinn does remain in that number one spot because of games played. He's had 24 points in 17 games, whereas Podorowski has done it in 20 games. But we do have some new names kind of coming into the upper echelon of the list. Cole Schneider out of Milwaukee is in 4th place. Sheldon Dries out of Abbotsford is in 7th. Otherwise, it's, a lot of the similar, same names as usual, like Martin Ferk, CJ Smith, Jacob Pelletier, Taro Hirose, people like that. So, yeah. Oh, we have our second casualty of the night. Oh, no.
Ready for the Hunger Games?
This is rough. And then my ring light decides to attack me.
Oh my god!
I'm back.
I need to buckle everything down. I don't know what's happening, but I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm back.
So Scott Perunovitch, tell us about Scott Perunovitch.
Yeah, no, he hasn't played for weeks, and he's still up there. That's how do I even jump back into this? I don't even know.
Oh, you missed Deana's ring light just absolutely jumping at her after you got disconnected.
I can't breathe.
Oh, I don't care if this doesn't make the show, but you're gonna need to cut it and at least put it in our Discord.
No, I'll leave it in. It's okay. Because the juxtaposition of events between okay, I'm gonna mute myself for a minute. I need to recompose.
Oh, wow. I really hope that everybody who's listening and watching is also smiling. I hope we brought a smile to your day because I cannot stop giggling. Oh my God. I need to stop looking at Deana because if I look at Deana longer, I'm going to keep going. But yeah, Scott Perunovitch, I don't know how he stays up there, right? Oh God. Because I mean, you're right. It's been 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, it's been since he's been called up.
Yeah, he got called up before Thanksgiving because I don't think he made his debut the day before Thanksgiving against the Red Wings, but that's when I most remember him being up there. So I think it was maybe the week before that because I think he had a couple of games under his belt. So you're talking 3 weeks and he's still in the top 10. That's kind of remarkable. Again, kind of puts it in perspective just how awesome he was for Springfield.
I'm just curious, do we have the stats on him in the National Hockey League? How's that looking?
We can do a quick little Google.
But yeah, I agree. The fact that he's still in the top here is just, and then, only 4 points out of that number 1 spot. It's crazy.
Yeah. In 10 games played, he's averaging 17 minutes of ice time, 5 assists, +4. So he's still finding a way to, I mean, obviously doesn't have freaking 18 points and however many games, right? But he's
but as a rookie, 17 minutes. That's great. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
3 of those assists on the power play too. So just kind of, yeah.
There you go. All right, we're going to jump over to the top goals for skaters. Sheldon Dries capping off an absolutely spectacular week, including notching the first hat trick in Abbotsford Canucks history. And he just absolutely leapt onto this goals leaderboard. I mean, how much of a leap? Well, last week I took a screenshot of the top 15 goal scorers. He was not even in the top 15. Now he's number 1.
Just goes to show what a one big night will do for you.
100%. We're going to jump over to the rookies real quick. Same as last week, there are 10 rookie skaters that are still scoring at point per game pace or better out of the rookies that have had at least 10 games played. So that's just kind of a nice, aesthetically pleasing 10, 1, 10. All right, there we go. But no surprise here, Jack Quinn is still the leader for AHL points, making their debuts in the top 10 are Jonathan Berggren. It seems like we talk about him literally every episode, but he's in the top 10 now. Of course, from Grand Rapids, and then Scott Reedy from San Jose Barracuda.
Yeah, it took Jonathan a little bit. He had a bit of a slow start. Great opening night against Rockford. Then I think it took him a little bit to get adjusted, but you can really tell over there in Grand Rapids, he's starting to get more comfortable in his role. He's now on the top line, top power play line, and what's perhaps most dangerous for the Central Division opponents is that you're really starting to see some chemistry starting to get built between him, Kyle Criscolo, and Taro Hirose, who I believe is also kind of like made his way into the top 10 in points. Yep, there he is. So that's going to be dangerous. He's got 15 points in his last 15 games after struggling through those first couple. So I think we're just getting started with Jonathan. I think the rest of the league is going to learn about this kid really fast.
Could the slow start have been because he started in Grand Rapids, Ohio?
That might.
Yes. I will say yes, absolutely. No doubt about it. But I will say, first of all, I was very disappointed that Cleveland and Grand Rapids played on a Monday whenever I cannot get up there during the week. So therefore, I could not see Grand Rapids in person. I just had to watch on AHL TV. But that line that you had mentioned, Berggren, Hirose, and Criscuolo was just good. No other way to say it. They were just good, flat out 100% good.
The first period of that game, I think, was the best period of Griffins hockey that they have played this year. And in no part because of that line, or no small part because of that line. There was a solid, I want to say, minute section of that first period where Hirose and Berggren just looked like they were playing catch. And or monkey in the middle. And in the middle were the Monsters defenders. And thankfully, some heroic efforts from Berube kept that first period as light as it could. It was 3-0 early on there, but could have been worse. Could have been way worse.
Don't remind me, please. I'm going to go from hysterically laughing with tears in my eyes to hysterically crying with tears.
Tears of sadness.
I'm in a glass case of emotion. All right. And then just a quick look at the goal scorers. Again, Jack Quinn on top here. And he's, got a few goal lead. Coming up behind Scott Reedy, Cole Schwint, Jacob Pelletier, again, Jonathan Berggren, Alex Steves, who we talked about earlier, Lucas Reichel, and Nick Sweeney. And jumping over to the goalies, just real quick, we now have 16 goalies. With at least one shutout in the American Hockey League. Of course, Andrew Hammond is still in the lead with 3.
And Alex Lyon, back-to-back shutouts against Iowa this week. He's now right behind the Hamburglar, who, oddly enough, didn't play a game this week. I don't know if they wanted to give him some rest or if he's facing some injury issues or whatever. But Hunter Jones and Derek Baribeau had the starts for the Wild. Not that I believe Hammond would have really made much of a difference with one goal of support. So
makes it hard.
It's a little tough.
Just a little bit. All right, now for the reason we're all here, the quest for the Holy Grail. We're going to take a quick look. Yes. At the division races, see how everybody is looking, and we're going to go alphabetical order just because it makes sense. We're going to go east to west, and I guess more east to west than alphabetical order because, north comes before central. So, east to west. There we go. In the Atlantic Division, Springfield's grip on the first spot in the Atlantic is starting to slip just a little bit. Hartford has matched pace basically with Springfield and will just not go away. I mean, granted, there were a lot of postponed games in the division last week, so it was kind of hard for teams to really jump around and kind of gain any traction, at least within the last week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once all these teams start coming back.
Yeah, the Atlanta got hit pretty hard between Hartford, Providence, and Hershey. So there's not a whole lot of room for movement there with just, well, I mean, there's no games. So looks a lot like it did last week.
And then moving on to the North, we kind of alluded to it, but Cleveland had a super rough week. It actually moves them down to 4th in the division. Meanwhile, Rochester and Toronto are making their moves up to 2nd and 3rd place, respectively. But yeah, Zach Power has said it before that, this middle of the division, it's going to be a little tough to call for quite a while.
Who would have thought the Milwaukee Admirals were going to be the kryptonite to the...
Certainly not me. Because I had predicted a sweep against them because my crystal ball was faulty.
I think realistically, like, you could have predicted a sweep on the weekend, and with playing Grand Rapids on Monday, like, I think you wouldn't have been totally out of line to think that the Monsters could have won all 3.
Now, I for full disclosure, I did predict the Grand Rapids one partially right because I know Cleveland and Grand Rapids, like, Cleveland just can't hang with Grand Rapids. They always have massive issues with them. So I did predict that Cleveland was going to lose that one on the Monsters Musings podcast, but I thought it was going to be a heck of a lot closer than what it really was.
Fair.
And I mean, to be fair, it was close. I mean, if you take the score away, it was closer than the final score indicated. I know, right? If Cleveland would have scored more goals, then but I mean, after that disastrous first 20 minutes, Cleveland, I mean, they came hard. They went after that Griffins net, and the Griffins were really kind of struggling just to get the puck. The only thing was that they had the best goalie in the AHL who's going to win the best goalie award, as I said in my hot take previously, Calvin Pickard, who kind of bailed the Griffins after a rough 40 minutes there. But I thought that the Monsters were ready to come and tie it up, but sometimes you just don't get those bounces.
They are in a definite hole right now when it comes to bounces, just nothing kind of going their way right now. But we're going to jump on over to the Central Division here. Manitoba is actually looking really nice in their last 10, 8-2-0. But of course, the Wolves are still remaining in control of the division here. And honestly, they've looked good thus far. I mean, we've talked about them at length, it seems. Their point streak stands at 7 games. Iowa's streaking as well, just in the other direction. And you guys, don't look now, but, Milwaukee, don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, really don't call it.
We're asking you, don't do it.
Yeah, like, I beg of you.
I mean, honestly, with the way that the Admirals played, like, they're so physical, they clogged up the lanes so well. It kind of confused me as to why they are, only have 7 games, 12 losses. Like, they should be higher than that. So
I said it. I mean, I've been saying it for weeks. I had a good look at a lot of the Milwaukee players last year with the dual affiliation with the Wolves. And then I see these guys coming over back with the Admirals, and I was like, what are you doing? And, I was like, Devin Cooley, he was stopping pucks in Chicago. He doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of that in Milwaukee. And I don't know. I really don't have an explanation for it. I feel like this team is better than its record indicates. And I don't know. It kind of breaks my heart. My heart doesn't break for a lot of division rivals, but it kind of breaks my heart to see Milwaukee at the bottom of the standings for so long like this.
Yep, and just Pacific Division real quick, of course, it's pretty much status quo again. Stockton and Ontario have a nice lead over the rest of the division. Meanwhile, from 3rd place all the way down to 9th place, it's kind of a close race. You got .563 points percentage from the Henderson Silver Knights. And then, like right behind them, Tucson's 0.531. Then you have San Diego, Colorado, Bakersfield, and Abbotsford all at 500. And then you have the Barracuda at 0.406.
Oof.
For sure. Oof.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
they're getting some reinforcements. I think Evander Kane ought to be making his Barracuda debut. So if he, so there's a little bit of help there, possibly on the way for San Jose.
Well, now that we know where the divisions stand, let's look ahead into our games of the week. We're going to go in the exact same order with the Atlantic.
Yeah, let's start off with the Atlantic. For me, I got Friday's Lehigh Valley at the Hartford Wolfpack, and this is all assuming that this game goes on, considering the protocols that were going on with the Wolfpack. But I want to see what that delay does to Hartford's game. They were 7-2-1 before they got hit with the delays and the protocols. So I want to know if they can keep that momentum moving. They got a real softball here with the Phantoms coming in town. So let's see if they can keep going.
For me, I'm going to go Toronto at Springfield on Friday at 7:05. Toronto, honestly, they usually do really well against Springfield. Is this going to be another victory for them? They are, after all, 4-0 over Springfield in the last 5 seasons. But the biggest question is, are they going to creep a little bit further up that North Division standing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm also going to have Springfield in the mix. I'm going to say Providence and Springfield. Like we talked about earlier, Providence has lost a lot of games here in the last week or so, and they're going to be fresh, right? Hopefully they're well. And so how do they come out of the gates against a really good Springfield team? I'm really interested to see how that shapes out.
Now, Zach did provide his picks before he unfortunately got called away for work. So we're going to go ahead and include these in as well because we want him to feel included. We're all about the family, the teamwork here. So his pick is Toronto and Bridgeport. Kind of a sad note here, but the last time these two played, 2 days later, the league shut down. So we're all kind of hoping that this isn't the case after they play this time.
Different vibes. They were the Sound Tigers then. They're the Islanders now, so.
Good vibes, yes.
Now, as we go into the North, I got Friday's matchup of the Monsters going in and playing the Utica Comets. Now, this is after, quite the disastrous first period for the Monsters on Friday, but they really, I thought they played some really good hockey just to get robbed by Pickard. So I think they're going to need more of those last 40 minutes if they want a shot at knocking off the big dogs and to climb out of the hole that they've dug themselves this week.
Oh boy, Andrew, all I can say is, well, pretty much same thing. Cleveland at Utica. Cleveland basically had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad week against Milwaukee's in Grand Rapids. Well, some good, but lots of difficulties. They need a bounce back in order to get their confidence back, honestly. So what better way to do it than by taking down the league leaders?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to keep it easy and retweet it. Like, yeah, that's the one that you have to watch out for if you're an AHL fan this weekend in the North Division.
And Zach is going with Laval and Hershey on Sunday. He's not sure if Laval still has the competitive team that they once had. But at one point, he had him slated for the finals. I mean, only last year, and who knows? He didn't have any of them for the finals this year, so it'll be something to definitely watch in his mind.
And as we go on to the Central, I'm sticking with a bit of a theme. I'm watching out for the bounce backs. So I got Fridays and Saturdays. Iowa going into Milwaukee. I think the Wild kind of got smacked back down to earth in a pretty harsh way by Chicago, as we've well documented it. So again, here's a softball for you, the Milwaukee Admirals. See if we can get back on track, or if this is just going to be the norm for the Wild going forward.
So full disclosure, I was the last one of us to get the picks in for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that I will be co-signing Jeremy's pick. As a Ben Bishop fan, I'm totally going to be watching. So slight spoiler alert for Jeremy's pick.
Yeah, we don't know which game it's going to be, right? Like, or, I mean, like, it could end up being neither. Like, I'm hopeful that it's not neither, but I hope it's one of them. And that is, of course, you allude to Ben Bishop. It's, of course, the Texas and Chicago matchup, either Thursday or Saturday between Ben Bishop. I mean, it's going to be quite the goaltending battle, like, if Ben Bishop gets in, right? Because you're going to have Ben Bishop on one side with for the Stars. And then, on the other side, you're either going to have, our good friend Iti Makaniemi, Alex Lyons. So it's going to be good. I think one way or the other, just Thursday or Saturday. Take your pick.
And Zach has the Henderson Silver Knights in Rochester on Saturday. Is that ROC?
That's Rockford.
That's Rockford. I was going to say Rochester. Wait a second. Anyway,
I read that at first and I was like, ow.
Anyway, Henderson Silver Knights and the Rockford Ice Hogs on Saturday. My apologies, Zach. We talked about them getting out of the league's basement. So, hey, this is your chance. Don't muck it up.
They're probably gonna muck it up. Sorry, Rockford fans. As we go into the Pacific here, I got Saturday's game with the Stockton Heat going into Tucson to take on the Roadrunners. And Stockton, they just keep rolling. They had a big weekend which they hosted a red-hot San Diego Ghost squad, and they just took care of business with another 2 big wins. So on the road, they're going here in the Roadrunner squad with something to prove, kind of packed into the middle of that Pacific Division there. I don't think this is going to be easy as it seems for the Heat. I think this is going to be some tough hockey for them.
Well, I'm going to go with the Battle of the Birds. Bakersfield Condors versus the Colorado Eagles on Friday the 10th. Right now, they're both sitting, like I talked about earlier, at 500. Which bird will rise above and emerge supreme? Is it going to be the Eagles with Alex Newhook's 5-game point streak, or the Condors, who are looking to get out of a little bit of a slump right now? 3-4, 1-2 in the last 10. I'll definitely be watching to find out.
Well, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, Andrew, but according to some channels and according to some folks, such as Shang Pang of the Sharks on NBC Sports, Evander Kane might be making his debut for the Barracuda this weekend against Abbotsford on Saturday, December 11th. I mean, you have to watch that, right? I mean, there's so much there that is just so important. How do the Barracuda embrace having Evander Kane on the team? What role does he play? How does he perform after not playing for so long? Obviously San Jose is going to want him to be productive, both at the AHL and then maybe at the NHL level, to potentially try to get some trade value out of him, if you believe what's going around on the streets as far as, trade rumors. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I don't envy Abbotsford for having to be the team that is a part of that debut, but it's going to be real interesting. And these are 2 teams right now that are at the bottom of the division, right? So it's, you've also got a little bit of that at stake too. So count me in for that one.
And our final pick from Zach is going to be San Diego and Ontario on Friday. I mean, over the past few weeks, we've seen that the Gulls really can compete. I mean, they're 6-3, 1-0 in their last 10. But it's going to be a tough hill for them to climb out of. But Ontario is going to be a really good challenge, and they can finally prove, what they truly have in the tank there. So that's our picks. That's almost the show. But we have one final segment left, and that's the Holy GrAHL bonus round. This time, Jeremy, you get the honors as our winner from last week.
I am so glad to do the honors. I might have to throw you a tiebreaker because I can see you both getting this. It's just a 1-question one. It's based off of something that Deana, you talked about earlier today. So we just got some trivia.
Okay.
And that is, who can tell me, of course, the Cleveland Monsters signing their extension with the Columbus Blue Jackets as their affiliate. Who was the Cleveland Monsters affiliate prior to the Columbus Blue Jackets? Deana knows it. I can see it.
I'm pretty sure I know it. I'm pretty sure. If I don't, oh my gosh, this will be the youth next week if I get this wrong.
You're the producer. Hey, you could cut it. You could cut it.
No pressure. No pressure.
Andrew, I'm going to make you answer first because I feel like.
Should I write mine down so I can't just say, "Oh yeah, I
Sure.
chose something."
Get that one.
Okay.
All right. I'll let her do that first.
I got to get to a blank page. My notebook.
Handy dandy notebook.
Oh wow, I put lotion on my hands and now my pen is sliding all over the place. Okay.
I say it was the Colorado Avalanche.
All right. Wow, look at that. Both of you coming through with the correct answer. Hate that because the tiebreaker is not as sound. I was hopeful that somebody would get it wrong. But can anybody tell me? So obviously geographically that doesn't make a ton of sense. Can anybody tell me who or the name of the Cleveland Monsters franchise prior to relocating to Cleveland?
All I have in my mind are the Barons, and that was in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yep. So that was their first, well, not first, but like that was their iteration. I think they moved to no. Where did they move? I'm thinking too hard.
Okay, so this is the team that moved to Cleveland.
Yes, and to give a little bit more context, they went dormant in 2005, 2006, didn't play in 2006, 2007, and then in 2007, 2008 became the Lake Erie Monsters.
Okay.
Is it Utah?
It was, in fact, Utah.
All right, I never would have got that. So, yeah, she wins.
The Utah Grizzlies. Yep, they became
The
dormant in
Grizzlies.
2005, 2006. They were, of course, previously affiliated with the Colorado Avalanche. So, that makes more sense geographically, right? So, yeah. But that partnership, I mean, the Monsters and the Avalanche were partners for 8 seasons-ish, 7-8 seasons. I mean, I was dumbfounded to know that there was only 2 affiliates.
Only 2.
So,
Huh. Well, that's new for me. I figured they had more.
and now I'm curious to know who the Barons affiliate was.
The Sharks, maybe. Yes,
Look at you.
San
Yeah,
Jose Sharks.
Yep.
Oh, really?
From 2001 to 2006.
Yeah, because then they moved.
Now that makes even less sense.
Yeah, because then they moved to.
There's a bit of like a
Massachusetts.
wild historical connection there because I'm pretty sure the OG Cleveland Barons went on to become the California Golden Seals in the 60s. So, like, I find a wild twist of irony that 40 years later they would also be their AHL affiliate for a Bay Area team.
Actually,
Okay.
I think it was the other way around. I just went to their Google. I think the Golden Seals became the Barons.
The Seals became the Barons? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought that was.
Well, the 2001 to 2006 Barons are now actually the San Jose Barracuda.
So it all comes full circle.
There we go. Another
Can you
nice
believe
little bow. Right up.
I love a good bow.
Love a good bow. Oh, this has been quite the episode, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the Holy Grail this week, episode number 9. So if you like us and all of our craziness that we get into here, please like, subscribe, rate this podcast, tell all your friends. If you really like us, be sure to give us all a follow on Twitter. We'd love to hear from all you guys. And also check out all of our written work. We actually got a nice little shout out from Hockey DB today. So thank you very much, Hockey DB, for the wonderful shout out on Twitter. Gosh, that was such a nice little surprise to come across earlier today. So we also have several other podcasts that you need to check out. Inside the SPHL with James Hayes, the 3 Periods podcast with Matthew Harding and Matt Will, which will get you caught up on the ECHL, and of course our 2 AHL team podcasts, Syracuse Speaks with Alexandra Ackerman, and Monsters Musings with Andrew Guarino, Jay Forster, and myself. On behalf of all of us here at the Holy Grail, we hope that you have an amazing week, and we will catch you next Thursday. Bye.
This has been the Holy Grail Podcast. Have a question or a topic suggestion? Hit us up on Twitter or drop us an email. For the latest news across the American Hockey League and the rest of minor league hockey, download the Field Pass Hockey app, now available in the Apple and Android app stores.